Ladies and gentlemen, we must, as citizens, organize ourselves. We must shelve our apathy, and we must take the bulls by the horn if we want our democracy to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. 20 minutes, yeah. So I want to appreciate the participants in the hall for staying back to the end of this program. Please, a round of applause for ourselves. It goes a long way to say we are ready for our democracy to work. If you are ready, say aye. If you are not ready, don't say. So we are all ready, right? Good. So I sincerely want to appreciate us all, and I tell us we'll leave the hall in no due time. As we reflect on Nigeria's democratic journey, it is clear that while Nigeria has sustained civilian rule since 1999 and witnessed several elections, democracy remains fragile and faces significant challenges. This rising from institutional weakness, electoral malpractice, public distrust, and the shrinking civic space. But we are not deterred, and that is why we have capable panelists today to do justice to this particular topic beyond the poll in another 20 minutes. So I'll begin my question with Mr. Samuel Folorunsho. And my question is, what specific, beyond the electoral process, what institutional reforms are most critical for sustaining democratic growth and ensuring effective governance in Nigeria?
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for having me. I will center this around two things, and we have to look beyond what the way we've continually do things. We have to look beyond how things that have happened in the past. To sustain democracy, first we have to look at the emerging technologies that we can leverage, which is we're talking about artificial intelligence now. We are supposed to now begin to look how we are going to use these emerging technologies to improve service delivery, especially around elections. And most times when we talk about technology in this regard, people think it is to count the votes. There's a lot of things technology can do for us around our electoral process. Because first, if we look at Anambra, they just concluded elections, we can see low voter opening of polls. The time about 26% as at 8:30. That is super. Technology can help us do that. We can improve service delivery using artificial intelligence to get sensitive materials into places that are hard to reach using drone technologies that are available worldwide today. So there's a lot of things we can begin to look at around how to improve democratic processes, because election is central to our democracy. Like one of the speakers have mentioned, if we continue to have consistent elections, if we continue to conduct consistent elections, that's the only way we can sustain democracy. So there we are going to, or where we intend to get to.
Thank you very much. That was quite smart and snappy. Okay, so the next question, Honorable, and my question is, how can the legislature ensure effective oversight of the executive?
Thank you very much. Okay. Well, our electoral circle, we're going through a constitutional review now, and we have been inviting the public to bring their submissions and memos in order to take advantage of those that come into office, take an oath of office, and we swear of our different faiths to uphold our Federal Republic of Nigeria. And I'd like to say, many of us don't know what we have done by taking that oath. That oath is to God Almighty, your Creator. That oath is to Nigerians who entrusted their vote to you. And that oath is for you, yourself, to ensure that you abide by that oath in carrying out your assignment over whatever office you are going to hold. And so, if Nigerians are good people who want to bring you back, but we have seen a time where people feel that if it's not only them in office, no one else can do that job. And I say, we are all growing. Time will tell. Age will catch up with people. And a generation is waiting and watching. And people are taking that resolve that when I go there, I will not do like the former generation that has gone there. By God's grace, I have people like, I'll call him my uncle who has invited me here. They've seen me grow up in Abuja and I've come into the political class. But all my life I've been in the private sector. But the day I got elected and got into the political class, I was given the same band wagon that they are politicians. So even with the ideas that I came in from the private sector to bring about change and drive that change, even when I'm the minority party in office, things become tougher, but then you must abide by that rule no matter how hard things get for you. For instance, we have gone around some African countries for our voting systems. In parliament, for instance, in Kenya, Nairobi, when instead of these ayes and the nays have it, there are digital systems. If you want to vote, quietly everybody presses a yes or a no button, and the total comes out clear on a screen whether a bill should be passed or not. We have screens now.
It's not working.
But
It's not
no,
working.
our screens are working. Everything is working, but we have not changed. All right, we have not changed the rules that govern our proceedings. So that has to go into amendment also. It's a process. And when you have a ruling party who likes the way things are going, because we know APC is not an organic party, is a conglomeration of different parties by arrangement. All right? And once at the arrangement table, they're able to sort the leaders out of each of the arrangements, they keep moving forward. And sadly, many of us are watching the news. People from my party have been crossing over to the ruling party. So the ayes have it is getting more than the nays getting less. And so to change processes will really be tough, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't do what is right, because posterity will judge you for while you were in that seat, what did you do to bring about change? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable. I will still come back to you again. The question on whether or not the National Assembly is rubber stamp is being, the front burner of national discourse. Is the National Assembly rubber stamp?
Thank you very much. It's a good question. The National Assembly, in my own opinion, for the first time I came into office from the private sector, I came in the opposition party, okay, and I'm the minority on the first. The ayes will have it. But you see, it comes to a time when the ayes things don't work, and they'll have to revert back to the things that we have said must be done properly. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, former senator. His wife, the first lady, former senator. The vice president, former senator. The chief of staff, former speaker. And we can go down there. So you have former people. So imagine all of us here, we're friends. We're all parliamentarians together. Then a few of us go to the executive side. And when we come to discuss, we were seatmates in class together. You understand, we understand the processes. But just do this thing quickly so that things can work. That it's more of synergy, working together for Nigerians, not about you people saying no to us. So when you have a former senators, president, vice president, first lady, former speaker, chief of staff, SGF, former senator, and just if you look at the retinue, and that's why I say the APC, I'm not saying it's a bad party, but at least in PDP time, you could see PDP people fighting a PDP government that what you are doing in office is wrong. Here, they don't have that ability because is an arrangement between the conglomeration of different parties, and there's that arrangement around. So, but a time will come, and that time is next election in 2 years, where Nigerians will say, anything APC we don't want. And I'm not campaigning for PDP. If PDP has also seen anything PDP we don't want. If your right candidates are an LP or any other party, go for those parties and defend that vote. There's nothing INEC will do but declare the right winner the winner.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sorry. Okay.
People appear to be happy with you. You are happy with it? So those in favor of the motion that anything we don't want, I didn't call any party, you say aye. Those against it say nay. Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so we move to Dr. Sam Amadi, and my question is, what strategies can be employed to strengthen judicial independence and fight electoral and governance-related impunity after polls? Electoral polls.
Well, thank you so much. I think we start from the language. So what do we need to fight? First, judiciary is in picture here now. 3 things I would like to say. It looks like we should bear in mind on what they call dialectics, meaning that there are interactions that produce results. But humans, being who we are, we always wait for the results. So, just as today we've had a successful conference, or we're about having a successful conference, but it took process to plan it. Whether it succeeds will depend on whether some people call up invitees, send reminders, and the invitees come, and then the conversation starts. It's same with issue of justice. There are different actors. The judge is there, so the presumption that the judge is a trained judge. So we assume that the judge knows what he ought to do, because that's why he's a judge. And then we have litigants, people who are injured, and therefore they go to lawyers. And be amazed by outcomes, and know that we are willing to know that those outcomes are. We hear about judges who are doing reckless things. They are promoted. Nobody's petitioning them. In fact, as a matter of fact, who finished law school, workers, and from there, and then it's a life venture. So what I'm getting to is that the judicial, I like the INEC press us. Then, talking about post-election, you see, justice follows status quo. The judiciary is part of in the US. Look at the conflict going on post-election in America. I sat here listening and I was imagining that people in America will say their judiciary has failed them. Some will say their political parties are failing. So I want to first say that this debate, this continuous engagement to improve society and functioning is endless. It's all over the world. The difference is the level of intelligence that we bring to it. So post-election, for example, the Nigerian judiciary has not been able to get involved in a way that restores what I call electoral justice. There's a jurisprudential problem. People think about legal justice. So if Esame loses election, he can go to court. But the judges don't see it as not just Esame, it is about the electorate. So what I would like to see is that post-election, what the court should be looking at is how do we ensure that the will of the electorates who voted is, articulated. It's not about the people who lost election or won election. And secondly, people have argued there should be even less judicial involvement in election, because the whole idea of elections is that it's a civic political behavior, not necessarily judicial. Elections are political, less judicial, because the logic of court is not the logic of political discourse. So what I would like to say in conclusion is that if the court has to intervene, and this is important, the court job is to restore back to status quo so that the people can decide who the leader. For example, in Imo State, I don't see why a court should come and say, we declare AA as winner. What court should do is either to nullify elections, if necessary, and then ask INEC to do what they ought to do. For example, if the results are not certain that A won, then you give a direction, courts give direction. Say, INEC, discount these votes, and then retabulate and pronounce. That's something odd when the court says, I hereby hold that Mr. B won the election and should be sworn in. I think I would advise the court to rather push back that decision to INEC, because elections should be least judicial and should be political. Again, it may not get a perfect result, but as much as possible, politics and democracy is a civil, process-based, dialectical approach so that demand and supply creates the outcome. People demand more transparency, they get more transparency, and when the courts intervene, it should be at the margin of that process, not at the center to decide who governs.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause. The judiciary should have less interference when it comes to electoral matters. And our first panelist also, who is an ICT specialist, also talked about improving technology, during elections, after elections, before election. And then our lawmaker also emphasized on the fact that you must vote in people who are credible, and those who are not credible, whether party or no party, should be shown the back door. Thank you very much. Now, whatever we are doing without the civil society organization, we are going nowhere. We are far from it. So our next question, we go to Mrs. Kemi Oken Yodo. And the question is, now for the civil society organization, what role should the CSOs play beyond election period in supporting democratic consolidation and accountability? What role should the CSOs be seen to be playing after elections? Yes, ma'am. Beyond elections. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
I think the role of civil society is very clear beyond elections. One very main one is civic education. And that's one part of engagement within the civil society space that I think has been eroded. It's been eroded because donors are not funding it. Let me just be very clear about that. What I have seen, my little 20-something years in this sector, is that our engagement at civil society organizations has changed. I joined this sector in 2003. We were very heavy on civic education. We were very heavy on even democratic education, enlightenment, grassroots. And we go as far as the grassroots, and you pick different clusters. What we do now is that we follow the donor. We follow what the donors want. And they're very prescriptive. I mean, His Excellency said it. You find that what they push here is totally different from what they push on their soils. And even the big organizations have moved away from it. The next question I ask is what we need to do. Does it need to be donor funded? My answer is no. Because we all have different platforms to engage and to give that kind of education and enlightenment that people need. And it's not only those that need to vote, because you have to go below those that need to vote. across all the clusters, we need to understand it, and we need to know why we're doing what we're doing. Once upon a time in this country, when we're talking civic participation, you are going to the market woman and you are telling her the questions she needs to ask and what she needs to look out for, right? At times when you even have events, people are coming for the tea break, for the lunch, even for the ones we have. At times I ask myself if we have the quality audience that we need to move and push conversation. Yes, boots on the ground when you need to riot, when you need to protest, yes. But at times, when we accuse politicians of renting a crowd, I stand corrected. We also rent crowd. Because if you ask some of the people within the crowd that are going with us for some of the protests, they don't know why they're going. So it's what we are seeing is what we have created. We have not invested in our system. Outsiders invest in our system. Politicians invest in the system. Those that understand the game invest in the system. You do not do civic participation or civic education 6 months to elections. Civic education is done throughout the life cycle of a society. And it is at different clusters and different segments. When the market woman is going out to contest amongst her mates, are they asking her what she's coming up to do? No. You are satisfied if we want to be neutral. If she's coming from the cluster of those that are selling textiles, everybody in textile will follow her. True or false? If she's from the cluster of those that are selling vegetables and pepper, everybody from vegetables and pepper will follow her. You are not asking her, what are you going to do? What are the problems we have that you want to address? She's not asking you what you want me to go and do there. It's just a jamboree. It's a big jamboree that we have, and that's what we see at the macro level. What you see at the macro level is what we have at the micro level. And I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. How many of us understand? We understand, ba? Not be because I dey sell akara, you dey sell akara, you come say make I vote you. I go ask you, what you want make you, what you go do for me? Abi, I correct? Make una clap for her now. Thank you. So I'll go back to my right, Dr. Sam. I'm rounding off now in another 2 minutes. What will be your call on INEC? What will be your call on Nigerians talking about civic education, citizen participation beyond the polls? What will be your call?
A few days ago, I was a keynote speaker somewhere, and I said, what I fear most about the 2027 election is not INEC being corrupt or the military being compromised or judiciary being corrupt. It's actually the depth of cynicism of the citizens. I saw it here. When they asked the question, how many of us believe in the process or it's good? Everybody said no. So we are dealing with the big elephant in the room, is that people first have lacked interest to continue. 2023 was actually a top time in terms of public trust, based on the way INEC assured us and all of us worked hard to get the electoral act passed. But even at that, the participation total rate was still very low. In spite of this, all the movement, all the obedient and all the other movement, in spite of the fact that we saw some hike in registration, turnout was still very low. And if voter turnout is low, it provides context for what we call rigging. And again, it's that I'm a critic of INEC, but